everyone. Thank you for being here today to listen to Happn and the way we're bringing real life back into online dating. I don't know if any of you know Happn or have ever downloaded it before. If you do, then you're an early adopter because we've just officially launched in Russia this week in Moscow. So how did we start? Well, something that is universal is meeting each other. It's been the trouble of every man and woman for ever and ever, and this is how people reproduce, and this is how you guys were all born. It's because your parents met. And to date, there's a lot of talk about it. If you just read a women's lifestyle magazine, for example, you'll see there are always 3 types of special editions. It's either going to be beauty, fashion, or love and relationships. So why is it that there's so much talk about it? Why is it that this seems to be a problem today when it has been, a way for people to interact forever? This problem led to online dating about 15, 20 years ago, when we saw the first online dating websites, where you basically built a profile and you said, well, I am 1.63 meters, I have black hair, and I'm looking for a tall blonde guy, for example. My favorite book is this, and I want him to like exactly the same literature as me, because this, to me, is the perfect guy. These were following matchmaking agencies. Basically, you just choose someone from a catalog that you think is right for you. But so we were thinking, is this really how it works? Can there be an algorithm that decides for you who is right for you or not? Do you yourself know who is right for you? I don't think we do, and I don't think you do. And looking at these websites, basically the trouble was you're spending a lot of time in front of a screen instead of being outside meeting people. You feel a bit desperate because when you're outside and living your life, you thought, I'm not talking about today, I'm talking about a few years ago, you were thinking, oh, I have to go back home and be in front of my screen and see if someone has responded to my ad or has responded to my messages. And basically there was a real gap between real life, the way you meet people, and the virtual world, where you're just basically sitting in front of a screen and chatting to strangers, and basically feeling a little bit desperate and not really good about yourself. So we were thinking, how can we disrupt this? How can we today, with mobile technologies and with every technology that we have, bridge real life and virtual life to make people meet each other for real? And these are our thoughts. We thought, how do you meet someone? It always happens when you least expect it. It all starts in real life. You're in front of someone, you feel some chemistry, you have them in front of you. The unexpected is at every street corner. You're just walking and you bump into someone that you think looks interesting. We also think that to be at the same place at the same time must be a sign. And to cross each other's path is also something in common already. And obviously the dating space is very crowded. You have thousands of dating websites already. So the important thing was for us to find the real concept that was going to bring some real innovation into this space. And we wanted to be, a global app since the beginning. And in our main concern, to bring real life back into the forefront and to make people meet each other in real life, we're thinking, well, yes, we want to build an app. This is a technology. But how can technology really solve the problem of meeting each other? If you look at the basic definition of technology in the dictionary, so I looked it up for you, the use of science in industry, engineering, etc., to invent useful things or to solve problems. And this is what we're looking at. What is the real problem? People want to meet face to face. They don't want to be spending time in front of a screen, looking at other profiles, answering questions. They just want to meet and see how they feel about each other. And so when we started thinking about Happn, that was in 2013, we already had smartphones, of course, and we thought, well, now you have your smartphone, you can basically have every answer to any question when you want. Just a few minutes ago, we were listening to The Economist talking about its latest app. Well, now you have, you're interested in news about the world, you can have your answer straight away. You have it anywhere, anytime. You have geolocation, and it works in real time, which is very important. It's simple, it's immediate, and there's also some gamification, because you get a little notification, you get a little sound. It's just super easy to use. And at the origin, we also had these 3 insights. In a big city, like Moscow, like Paris, like New York, in any city, you cross paths with hundreds of people every day in real life. Aren't these the people you should meet instead of being in front of a screen? Also, people are obsessed about finding the one, finding love. But the real need is not to find love, it's to actually just meet people and then maybe to find love with those people. Also, we don't believe that love is rational. We just believe it happens out of chance, out of luck, out of little coincidences. But it's not something that's rational and that can be decided by science or by an algorithm. So what we did is very simple. We didn't invent a new technology, but we came up with an innovative idea that no one had really thought about before or had never implemented, actually. In a lot of countries, for example, in the US on Craigslist, there is a little section called Missed Connections, where if you have taken the subway that day and you have seen someone that caught your eye, you can write a little ad that says, "I saw you on the M train, you were wearing a yellow sweater and you smiled at me and I would love to find you again." These were really funny and quite romantic, to be honest, but do they really work? Like, in a city of thousands of people, if you really want to find that person again, then they have to read the ads every day. It's not very realistic. But today, with Happn, that we launched in February 2014, you can use it in real time with hyperlocation. And our concept is very simple. It lets you find the people you've crossed paths with. So all the people who have been at the same place at the same time as you. And this is how we facilitate real-life meetings. Basically, it's just a digital tool that helps you reconnect with the people who have already been next to you, who you've already seen in real life, or maybe you haven't seen them, but you keep being in the same environment as them. And we want every journey to become a new meeting opportunity and to give you that second chance with all those people around you. So the way the product was built is very simple. We just made the most of what a mobile screen can offer to recreate what is going on in real life. So the first thing is the timeline. This is your homepage when you start opening your app. And you have basically profiles, and you can scroll down indefinitely. And it's in chronological order. We call it a timeline because basically it lets you go back in time. The person who's at the top is the person you've crossed paths with the latest. And the more you scroll down, the earlier it goes in time. So for example, imagine you wake up tomorrow morning, and the first thought you have is you remember someone that you met at MBLT the day before. And you think, well, I would really like to find that person again, actually, but I didn't have her contact number, I didn't get her card, I have no idea who she is. Well, maybe she has a Happn. And then you open your app and you scroll down. It was maybe 12 hours ago, and you scroll down, and there she is, perhaps, if you all download a Happn today. And then the 3 screens are very simple. So first one, you have the timeline. And basically, think about it as if you are walking in the street in real life. There are a lot of people, that's for sure, and you don't notice every one of them. If you're walking in the street, you don't look at everyone, but sometimes you do. You stop on one person, you consider that person, maybe either you find that person attractive or there's something interesting that sparks your interest. So what you do then is that you can select that profile and look at it a little bit further, just like you would be interested in someone in real life. So you can go on someone's profile, and then if you both like each other, you can start a conversation and make plans to meet again. On every profile, it's very simple. You see how many times you've crossed paths before. So for example, here we've crossed paths 7 times, and Katie, it's the first time. And on every profile, you also see roughly where that was. So there you have a little map. It's the rough neighborhood. It's never precise. We never pinpoint where someone is, so it's impossible to follow anyone. This just shows the last crossing point where you encountered each other. We also show mutual friends and mutual interests because you connect through Facebook or VK, so it takes your basic interests and friends in common to show you if you may have friends in common or interests in common. And we've always wanted to basically recreate real life. So we don't want you to judge people on their height or on what job they do. So it's impossible to look for someone. We believe in chance and little coincidences. So basically we show you everyone that has happened that is around you. But we also let people express themselves. So for example, we built a music feature as well. So that instead of just sending text in a conversation, you can send a song. It's like a serenade, a 2016 serenade. So it's a great icebreaker. You can just send a song if you don't know what to say, because it's always funny, and it's all about emotions and sharing a bit more of yourself. You can also put your favorite songs on your profile to tell a bit more about yourself. Last year, we also linked with Instagram. So again, it's not something that is used as a criteria. But if you go on someone's profile, maybe they have linked their Instagram, and then you can learn a little bit more about them and their world and their universe. And the idea is not to, again, be based only on superficial pictures. You know, when you see someone's profile, it's just like in real life. What you see of someone, you see them physically at first, and then you discover things about them. And linking with Instagram was following that same logic. It's just learning a little bit more about the person and hopefully giving you a little bit more of interest to start a conversation or to meet. We've also added voice, and again, this is in the same notion of being a little bit more emotional, showing a bit more about yourself. We did a little study that found out that about 80% of people think it's a total turn off if they don't like the voice of the other person. So here's a little way of sharing your voice and letting people talk to each other through the app, and also if they don't want to exchange numbers straight away before meeting. Our business model is very straightforward. We have a freemium model, which is inspired from the gaming industry. So basically everyone can download it for free and use it for free. So you can and by the way, I'll explain how this works. So if there's a profile that you'd like to get in touch with, you can click on the heart, which is the like, and the other person doesn't know it until they like you back. However, if you want to be a little bit more forward and more proactive, and it's like if you go up to someone in real life and go talk to them, you can send a charm. And this charm, which is an extra option and which is optional, costs 1 credit. And 1 credit is about 15 rubles. So it's still affordable. And what's important is that we're not working with a subscription model, because especially in dating, which is quite a particular industry, you shouldn't be paying for a subscription, because the aim is for you to find someone and to start a relationship. So if you're paying for a subscription, maybe you meet one person, and then you think, well, I'm paying every month, so maybe I should see another one just to see if that person is better than the other one, which to us doesn't make sense. So we believe in our service and want to offer it for free to most people so that they can really make the most of their encounters and use it in the best possible way. And then we also see a value in the charm function for people to really be proactive and talk to each other, which is why this option is paid. So we launched in February 2014, so that's a little bit more than 2 years ago. We're based in Paris, so a lot of people say that it's the city of love, so maybe it's not a coincidence that we started in Paris. Today we're in about 40 cities in the world, over 4 continents, so mostly in Europe, the US, Canada as well, South America, and we're starting in a couple of places in Asia as well. And as I said, we have just launched in Russia this week. In these 2 years, we have reached 16 million users, and we're adding about 1.6 million users every month, which proves how universal our concept is and how it's getting more and more popular around the world. And we have about 70 employees in Paris. And our headquarters, until today, are only in Paris. If we can give one advice about how to start a startup, and even though we're completely international, I think we succeeded in doing this by staying all together and brainstorming together every single day, and traveling a lot, of course, but always reuniting in the same space. So not trying to open offices in the first year everywhere where you want to launch, but rather stay together, stay put, fight through the growth together, and travel a lot. Just to show you how exponential it's been, we reached our first million after 10 months of existence, second million 3 months later, third million 2 months later, and then it just kind of went crazy, and today we're at 16 million. We should be reaching 20 million by this summer, and about 30 million by the end of the year. We're VC funded, so we did a first round in December 2014 of $8 million, and we had a Series B last October for $14 million, which helps us to go very quickly in our launches and to introduce our concept as fast as we can everywhere in the world. A little bit about Moscow, well, Russia, but our main city is Moscow. Second city is St. Petersburg. We already have 200,000 users here. Although we have already launched, although we have only this week been launching officially. Towards the end of the year, we should be tripling this number. So we expect our Russian users to be 600,000 by the end of the year, which is extremely exciting, and will help you cross paths with as many people until the end of the year. So this is how a timeline looks, and we did a little illustration of a man and a woman here, which is actually one picture separated in two, because you have to imagine yourself living your life and crossing paths with people in real life. And Happn is really just a little digital tool. It's not really a dating app. It's actually more of a meeting app, because what you do is it just links you with people that are already part of your life, that you've already bumped into, that you already had a real life connection with, whether you've seen them or not. Thank you very much. I think there's a little film that I wanted to show you as well. I don't know if it's going to play. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about the music. It usually makes some people cry, so I hope you're all fine. I don't know if you have any questions.
Вопросы задаем.
Hi, thanks for great presentation. I have a question. Do you buy traffic? And if yes, how much traffic you bought already in Russia?
Do we have traffic in terms of how many users, or sorry?
Yeah. Do you buy users?
Oh.
And how much you bought in Russia already?
How much we what? Sorry.
How much users you bought in Russia?
How much we bought?
Yeah.
Well, of course we do, some marketing, but I don't keep track of how much has been spent in terms of marketing. We're officially launching now. We have 200,000 users today, and I know that it's growing healthily. So towards the end of the year, we have growth expectations that should reach 600,000. But we have a quite diverse marketing mix. So mostly online, and other than that, there's a lot of word of mouth. So people share the app between themselves as well.
Thank you.
Есть ли еще вопросы?
День добрый. Прошу перевести вопрос.
Translate the question. Wait a second. Oh, fine, I will. Are there any other questions meanwhile?
Happn is a hyperlocal device service, and what marketing tools did you use to reach first million users?
So it's mostly online because we are an app. So the closest, the fastest mix, is of course for people to see, to hear about Happn and to be able to download it straight away. So we've done a lot of social media, depending on the country, primarily Facebook. When Instagram opened their advertising platform, we also did a lot of Instagram. Here in Russia, we do VK as well. So very online, very digital. This is where our target group hears about things the most because it's immersed in their usual daily experience on Facebook or VK, for example.
And the users ready to wait, for example, first day, there is nobody in the app.
Yeah.
And were they ready to wait? And how long they were ready to wait to find someone?
Well, it's really funny because, yes, it's hyper-local. So, of course, you need some activity to cross paths with each other. But the concept is really universal. It's very simple. Everyone, I think every single one of you has already seen someone or met someone and thought, oh, I wish I could, see or find that person again. So people, when they first hear about it, for example, if tomorrow you go to Japan, we haven't done anything in Japan yet. So people, you shouldn't be crossing paths with anyone using Happn. But there will always be some people who have heard it and who have downloaded it and who are just waiting for it to be launched because of that concept that is so strong and that really makes sense for everyone. We also have cities like, for example, Budapest. At the very beginning in 2014, when we had just launched in Paris and London, I think maybe they read an article about it, some people in Budapest, and all of a sudden it became viral and we had thousands and thousands of users using it in Budapest. So of course it can be always a surprise. And about the fact that people download it everywhere in the world, of course sometimes it dies out because some people will download it and see only 3 people in a month maybe, so of course they drop it. But then when we officially launch a country, we hope they hear about it again and try it again.
Еще раз день добрый.
Once again, good afternoon. My question is this: how do you estimate the prospects and viability of dating functions outside the dating functions? We have apps to communicate, usually communicate with people they know, strangers. Wiki is, we might have no idea about this product. We have this project in Europe and in the United States. Do you understand the question? Is the question clear to you? Yeah.
Afterwards.
Еще раз вопрос.
What are the prospects of dating functions outside of dating applications when people talk to strangers? What are the prospects? What is their future?
Like real life dating and online dating and contrary to each other. Is that do I understand your question right? that you're opposing real life and online dating? Okay.
Онлайн знакомство.
Yeah, no. I think no. Of course, the future people have always met in real life most of the time, and this will continue to be a human need and a human desire. And today, it's just that we're changing lifestyle. It's societal changes. We're much more busy. We work a lot. We didn't used to work that much. Also because once you leave your office, you don't have your workspace anymore. You don't have your emails that could follow you. And now we have emails. Now we have emails on our smartphones. Now we can be reached 24 hours a day. All our behavior towards time has completely changed. And this is something that has extended to all sectors. And again, the example of the news is the same thing. It's 24 hours a day. It's every single minute that something can interrupt you. You need to leave to a meeting. Now you just leave and you look at how to get there on the way, opening Google Maps, for example. And so in terms of dating, it's the same thing. People love meeting each other in real life and by chance, but sometimes when you're too busy, you just don't have as many opportunities, and if you're lonely or if you just like to have more options and more connections or to widen your network, then the dating apps are a great tool. And I think the future of dating apps are going to be more and more seamless with what you're talking about, which is to meet people naturally in a way. And what we're trying to build is building on natural connections anyways, to just give you that little digital help that will make you, just meet people even more and spark the real life connections more easily. I hope that answers your question.